In the new season of Oak Island, something happened that no one expected, not even the people working there every single day. The team was not chasing hype, not trying to make a big moment, and not digging at a famous hotspot. They were quietly drilling a simple hole, away from the main areas, on ground that looked normal and calm. But what happened under that ground changed everything. It changed the team. It changed the island. And it will change the entire story of human history if the early signs turn out to be true. Everything began when the drill touched something unusual at around 18 feet down. There was no warning sign, no strange objects seen before starting the drilling, and no reason to think that this spot would matter. But the crew heard something that froze everyone in place. A loud, metallic ticking sound reached the surface, strong enough to shake the drill frame slightly, and the moment that sound came up through the soil, the faces of the workers changed. The joke someone cracked, "Man, that sounds like something ancient," felt funny for only 2 seconds. After that, everyone realized the tone of the sound was not normal. It was not the sound of hitting stone. It was not the sound of hitting a pipe. It was flat, clean, and had the hollow echo of metal, a type of metal that has been buried for a very long time. As soon as the strange sound echoed again, the tension began to rise. The workers looked at each other without saying a word. Rick looked straight at the drilling head, trying to listen carefully to the tone of the impact. He asked the engineers if the drill had hit rock, but they said no. According to the readings, this was not rock. The sound was not natural. It came from something man-made, something flat, something hidden deep underground. For a moment, the crew felt both fear and curiosity. No one knew how big the object was, how old it could be, or who could have put it that deep. But the sound was unmistakable, and it was not alone. The drill touched down again, and once again, the same metallic tone filled the air. The deeper the drill went, the more the tone changed. Sometimes a bit hollow, sometimes a bit thick, but always the same shape of sound that comes only from human work, not nature. The first soil sample came up immediately after that impact, and this is where the discovery truly began. When the workers saw the soil, they were confused because the color did not match what they normally found on Oak Island. The top layer was normal, but the layer under it was darker, like something had been burned there centuries ago. There were pieces in the soil that looked like burnt charcoal. No normal Oak Island soil has this, unless someone lit a fire there or buried something that was treated with heat. That meant human activity took place in that spot long ago. And not just any activity, something with purpose. Even more interesting was what the microscopic camera found in the soil. 2 different types of sand grains were seen. One type looked like coastal sand, and the other looked like valley sand. Nature almost never mixes these two perfectly by itself. That meant someone brought those materials together. But the biggest shock within the soil was the tiny metal flakes. Under the lights, they glittered slightly, and experts said these flakes did not match modern metal or pure iron. They had patterns similar to ancient alloys. Someone worked in that area in a time long before Canada was developed. When the experts said someone worked here a very long time ago, the crew understood the meaning immediately. Oak Island was not just a digging spot anymore. It had become a place where old human history was finally showing itself layer by layer. The strange soil and metallic flakes were enough to raise the tension, but the moment that truly changed everything came shortly after that. The drill was stopped, and the workers began clearing the soil carefully by hand. The metallic sound still echoed in everyone's mind. The ground felt like it was hiding something, and then one worker shouted for everyone to stop. When the camera zoomed in, something small and round became visible in the dirt. At that moment, everything went silent. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. A faint golden bronze glow came from the object. It was not stone. It was not wood. It was metal, and it was very, very old. Rick leaned forward and said, This shouldn't be here." The workers cleaned the object slowly with their fingers, trying to be gentle and not damage whatever it was. Not to damage it. When the soil fell away, the shape
became clear. It was a coin that looked ancient, a coin that did not match anything from North America's history. The coin had strange curved lines on it, star-like shapes, and even something that resembled a human figure carved into the center. The carvings were faded, but still clear enough to show this was not a normal coin. It was heavy for its size, heavier than modern coins. This kind of weight comes only from old alloys that stay compacted after centuries underground. When someone whispered, "This doesn't look North American," everyone agreed silently. A historian looked at the coin closely and confirmed the carvings did not match anything from local cultures. The symbols were unusual, and the carving style looked like it came from a faraway civilization. None of them expected this. Marty said quietly, "What the hell is this?" The coin did not match the medieval era, nor the early explorers, nor anything from the past 1,000 years of Canadian history. Then, when the coin was shown under a close-up camera, even more lines appeared on the outer edge, as if an ancient language had been carved there. Rick held it up to the light, and the pattern showed itself clearly for a second. It felt like something out of a museum, not out of a small island in Nova Scotia. The expert reaction was even more shocking. When the coin was handed to the specialist, he turned it over and his fingers trembled. His eyes locked onto the symbols, and he said, "This design is not North American." His voice went quiet. He explained that the symbols resembled old Roman patterns or early Mediterranean carvings. But finding such a coin in North America should be impossible according to every history book we have. Yet there it was, in Rick's hand, pulled out of a quiet patch of Oak Island soil. Then the expert tested the metal composition. The alloy in the coin was a copper-bronze mixture used by Mediterranean cultures around 1,500 to 2,000 years ago. Hearing that number stunned everyone. If the date was correct, then the coin would be older than the Vikings, older than the Templars, older than almost every explorer recorded in Canadian history. Then, when the air settled and everyone tried to understand the meaning of the discovery, the more disturbing part came. The coin was not alone. Ground-penetrating radar was turned on to scan the area. Immediately, multiple metallic signatures appeared below the surface. Not one, not two, but 3 metallic reflections showed up. The first was directly under the coin, the second to the left, and the third was the largest, with a strong reflection that looked like something big, flat, and shaped, something like a metal plate or the top of a vault. The engineer said these were not random natural shapes. All 3 were aligned, like part of a structure. Then, an even stranger reading appeared. A hollow space was detected beneath all of it, an empty chamber shaped like an oval room, deep inside the ground, as if someone carved it centuries ago. Rick's voice became serious. "If this is real," he said, "we're uncovering more than a coin." The crew felt chills, because Oak Island has always been mysterious, but this was different. This was old, much older than anything they had touched before. The internet had the same reaction. The moment the first photo of the coin leaked, social media exploded. People argued, debated, and tried to figure out the symbols. Some said it was Roman, others said it was Phoenician, some said it belonged to a sailor who came from ancient Mediterranean ports. Still others said it proved the Templars brought ancient relics across the ocean. The internet could not agree, but everyone agreed on one thing: the coin was not normal.
The fan theories online grew so fast that the Oak Island crew felt the pressure. Some locals reported seeing strange SUVs near the island with no license plates. Others said unknown people had been watching the digging area using binoculars. Whether these reports were true or just rumors, they made the crew feel uneasy. Then, temporary fences were suddenly placed around some parts of the island. This increased the tension even more. People online started speculating that officials had become involved. Some said the government might try to take control of the site. Some even said secret groups were monitoring the discovery. That same night, a quiet and restricted dig took place. Only selected crew members were allowed to stay. Cameras were limited, and some footage was blurred later. Workers noticed new metallic reflections under the soil, but they were told not to touch anything yet. Rick said, "Not on camera. Not yet." This made fans even more suspicious. No one knew what was happening underground, but the nighttime dig showed the discovery was bigger than expected. The next morning, the coin was sent to a specialized lab. The lab tests changed everything again. The coin contained traces of an exotic alloy not found in ancient North American metal. The carvings had similarities to Mediterranean symbols, and one carving even looked like a Roman sun emblem. The age test showed the coin might be between 1,600 and 2,000 years old. That meant the coin could have crossed the ocean long before recorded explorers. When Rick read the lab report quietly, the weight of the discovery hit him. He felt both excitement and fear. The coin was not just old. It was proof that someone reached Oak Island long before history remembers. This led to new theories about who could have visited the island. Roman travelers could have crossed the Atlantic, though history has little record of such journeys. Phoenicians were known for their long-distance sea travel and trade routes. They were expert sailors and might have reached Canada. Or, the coin could have been carried by Templars centuries later. Fans also theorized that the coin might mark the entrance to a hidden chamber. But the deeper scan confirmed something even bigger. A vault-like structure lay under the cavity, a straight-edged, rectangular anomaly, a man-made vault under the ground of Oak Island. This created a mix of fear and excitement among the crew. The team then faced a serious question. Should they keep digging or stop to avoid danger? Oak Island is known for its dangerous flood tunnels. Rick wanted to continue, believing they were close to the truth. Marty worried about safety. A controlled test drill was approved. The drill went down and hit another heavy metallic object. The whole crew froze. This impact was deeper, heavier, and clearer than the earlier hit. It was right at the depth where the deeper chamber appeared on the scan. Rick looked at the ground and said, "If this coin is real, then the real treasure is yet to be uncovered." That moment captured everything the crew felt. They were not just digging for treasure anymore. They were uncovering a story thousands of years old, a story that someone wanted to hide, a story that could change everything we know. And now, the world is watching Oak Island again, because under that coin lies a deeper structure, a chamber, a vault, a place that no one has opened in centuries. And the only way to know the truth is to keep digging, because the next discovery could be the one that changes the world. And if someone misses the next update, they could miss the greatest moment in Oak Island history. After the first coin and the discovery of the vault-like structure, the team's focus completely shifted. What was once a routine excavation became a full-scale investigation into the unknown. The first step was careful analysis of the chamber below. Engineers and archaeologists worked together to confirm its size, shape, and stability. The scans showed a hollow space, approximately the size of a small room, with straight edges that were clearly man-made. The metallic readings along the edges suggested that something, maybe objects, tools, or even more coins, was intentionally placed there. Every crew member knew they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. The excitement was mixed with caution, as Oak Island has a long history of booby traps, hidden flood tunnels, and unstable soil. One wrong move could cause a collapse or worse.
Rick and Marty were both fully aware of the risks. They spent hours discussing the safest approach to continue the excavation. They decided on a controlled dig using smaller tools and careful hand excavation rather than large machinery. Every scoop of dirt had to be treated like a potential artifact. Nothing could be rushed. This decision slowed down the work, but it allowed the team to observe every detail. Soil samples were taken at different depths, and each layer was carefully documented. These layers told a story. The topsoil had modern disturbances from past digging, the middle layer contained remnants of burned material, and the lowest layer held intact ancient soil where the coin had been found. This bottom layer was undisturbed for centuries, and that made it incredibly valuable to archaeologists. As the dig continued, more metallic readings appeared in the deeper layers. The GPR scans revealed several smaller objects embedded in the walls and corners of the chamber. Some of these readings suggested flat objects, while others appeared more rounded, possibly small coins or medallions. The team began to realize that the first coin was not an isolated find. It was part of a collection deliberately placed in this chamber. Every metallic signature brought new anticipation and speculation. Could this be the remains of a hidden treasure vault, or perhaps an ancient storage site for important artifacts? The possibilities seemed endless, and each scan increased the urgency and the sense of history surrounding the dig. The crew also focused on the coin itself. It was sent to multiple labs for further analysis. Specialists examined the surface in extreme detail, using extreme high-resolution imaging. The curved lines and symbols began to reveal subtle features not seen during the initial inspection. Some patterns resembled Mediterranean scripts, while others were unique markings suggesting a culture unknown to the Americas at that time. Chemical analysis confirmed the unusual alloy. The coin contained copper, tin, and a tiny trace of another metal not commonly used in the ancient Americas. This further strengthened the idea that it was a European or Mediterranean artifact, potentially carried across the ocean centuries before Columbus. If correct, this one coin could rewrite the known history of early exploration in North America. Meanwhile, the deeper scans of the chamber revealed more surprises. Small cavities were detected within the chamber walls, suggesting the presence of compartments or niches. These may have been used to store additional artifacts, tools, or coins. The alignment of the metallic signatures was deliberate, showing careful planning and organization. The engineers concluded that whoever built this chamber had a specific purpose. They were not burying random items. They were creating a storage site designed to last for centuries. This level of organization suggested advanced knowledge of construction and preservation. The question that kept everyone awake was, who were these people? Were they ancient traders, explorers, or even members of a secret society? The team also discovered more evidence that humans had been living on this part of Oak Island long before the recorded settlements. Burned soil indicated fire usage, and the mix of coastal and valley sand pointed to deliberate transport of materials. It seemed someone had purposefully selected this location and prepared it for occupation. Nearby, traces of pottery were found, and an ancient tree stump suggested a long-lost forest. These discoveries painted a complex picture of long-ago activity in this region. This one discovery hit the Oak Island timeline like a thunderbolt, and the mystery began to grow even deeper. This hammered copper coin, taken along with the cast iron pot fragment, changed the entire understanding of what people were doing on Lot 5 centuries ago. These two items were not dropped by accident. They were not part of modern junk. They were pieces of everyday life for the people who were working, living, and cooking on this land. And they were doing it long before history says anyone should have been living on the island. It made the team ask a huge question. Was Lot 5 a settlement? Was it a base camp? Was it a staging ground for a massive operation, possibly the very operation that created the money pit?
Lot 5 already had strange rectangular marks on the ground. These shapes looked like foundations, structures that once stood there. There was also a rounded stone foundation near the shoreline. These were not natural. Someone built them. Someone placed stones carefully. Someone lived and worked there long before official history claims. The discoveries were no longer random. They were starting to form a picture. That picture was not of pirates dropping treasures. It was not of farmers growing crops. It was something far more organized, something planned, something that required a group of people who needed shelter, cookware, tools, and money. One of the biggest questions now was about the origin of the coin. The cross-marking could point to several possibilities. It could be Portuguese, Spanish, or British. But there was also the possibility, raised by earlier discoveries on Lot 5, that it could even be Roman. Roman coins had been found in this same area before. That alone is baffling. How could Roman coins be on a small island in Nova Scotia? If this new coin was also Roman, it would suggest something that challenges history entirely. It would mean ancient travelers may have reached North America far earlier than anyone believed. But if the coin was Portuguese, that would also support a major theory: the Templar connection. Many believe that after the Knights Templar were forced out of Europe, some of them traveled overseas. The Portuguese Order of Christ is thought to be the successor to the Templars. They used crosses on their coins. They traveled across the world, and they had the resources needed to build something massive. The cast iron pot fragment also pointed to Old World craftsmanship. From its shape to its phosphorus content, everything suggested that it came from a time and place far earlier than modern settlements in Nova Scotia. Together, the coin and the pot formed a story not about one person dropping items, but about a group staying there, cooking meals, sleeping, working, and possibly planning something much larger. The team began to wonder whether Lot 5 was the command center for whatever operation created the money pit. If you were planning to bury something important underground, you would need workers. And workers need food, shelter, tools, and a place to stay. Lot 5 might have been that place. The more the team studied the soil, the artifacts, and the shapes on the land, the more it looked like Lot 5 was not just part of the Oak Island story. It was the starting point. It was the heart of the entire mystery. As the artifact examination continued, the excitement grew. The cast iron piece was confirmed as part of an old pot. The hammered coin was being studied with plans for CT scanning. The more the team looked at the coin, the clearer some of the markings became. Even Rick noticed details on the face. The coin was thick. It had weight. It was crafted with skill. And then something even more exciting surfaced. The team had found not one or two coins, but multiple coins on Lot 5 in the past. Some were Roman-era coins. If this new one added to that collection, it could show that Lot 5 was a crossroads for ancient travelers, explorers, workers, or even secret groups carrying treasure.
Lot 5 may have been a staging ground gained more strength. The rectangular earth feature could have been a building. The stone foundation could have been a base for food storage or a meeting place. The fact that the iron pot and copper coin were found within feet of each other suggested daily life took place there. Not quick activity, but ongoing use. This discovery also began to raise a massive question that challenges official history. If Lot 5 was occupied long before the late 1700s, who were these people? Why were they here, and what were they doing on Oak Island before settlers came to the region? The answer might lie in the way the artifacts were made. The hammered coin shows an old minting process. The cast iron pot shows old metal technology. These are not modern. They predate the earliest documented European settlers in the area by decades, maybe even centuries. This suggests that someone else was here, someone not recorded in official Canadian history, someone with far more advanced skills than early farmers, someone with reason to hide their activity. The theory that keeps returning is that Oak Island was part of a bigger mission, possibly involving the Templars or the Portuguese Order of Christ.
The cross on the coin supports this idea, and the early presence of iron pots, coins, and stone structures matches the timeline of sailors